So Violetta is asking, could you please share if you have any special API checks which were discovered while testing or after missing a bug? Special means you did not think about it previously, but after discovering the problem or missing the bug, you have started to check and found it then.
Oh, that's a good one.
Mm.
But it's hard to say because it's like any testing heuristic. It's something that, I didn't think about before we found a bug, and now it's something that I think about all the time. I can verify all the time in all of my tests. I don't know if there's any specific one. I just, man, I don't know. That's a good question, though. I think I'll think about that and maybe come back to that on the club or something, because I can't think of any scenarios or anything.
It feels like one of like a special case of what's the best bug that you ever found in there.
So I have a best bug, but it wasn't API testing related.
I've got one. I remember the first time I realized how awesome API testing was.
Go for it.
I was working with a chap called Chris Chant, who you should definitely follow on Twitter if you're not already. Well, it wasn't even me; it was him that found the bug. And basically, what happened was we were testing a mobile app. This particular functionality was supposed to return a map. Now, at that point in my career, I would have just said, "Hey, I've gone to the this part of the app, and there's supposed to be a map there, and there's no map." But he broke out. He was like, "What's going on?" And he broke out Postman, and then was able to see that it was an API call that was basic. The return was null for the map. It's like, "Hey, get me a map." This came back saying, "Bleh." So he was able to give a much more outstanding bug report than I would have managed if I was in that situation.
So I guess it could be related to API testing, but it's using dev tools and testing a web app. So this is kind of what led me to always having dev tools open when I'm testing a web app.
Okay.
On the network tab and having the console drawer, at the bottom. One time I was testing something, I just happened to have DevTools open at the time, and I just saw this bright red thing scroll by. I was like, everything looks normal, everything looks fine. I don't see any bugs or anything. And looking at that was a third-party API call that was returning a 500. And it should have been populating some tracking information that a user wouldn't see on the front end, but just from looking at the network tab, I was like, oh, that's cool. So then, that changed my testing, because now anytime I'm testing a web app, I have the DevTools open. And I guess that's kind of API related because it was an API call. But
so is a third party kind of applications, things outside of your control, is that a kind of a good kind of special check that you might want to consider, do you think?
Oh, well, I guess, yeah, that's a good point. Because you never know what people are going to do with it, because the software, man. You got to test it. And you have the, contract tests and all of that stuff, but sometimes you don't have that kind of relationship with a third-party API vendor or whatever. So you just have to check their stuff. And I've unfortunately have had to write integration tests against a third-party API to make sure that they were returning things that we were expecting for our API. So kind of like contract tests, but because they couldn't or wouldn't run tests for us, I had to write tests for us to run against them. So yeah, third party, man, so much about that.
It's a whole other talk. Okay. All right. Thank you, Violetta.